On this episode today, we're going to be discussing how to stay motivated when the future is uncertain. Okay, so if anybody has anything going on, if you are in a place where you're trying something new, you are venturing into something new, right? And you feel God calling you to do something that you've never done before, please stay tuned and watch this episode, because I feel that this episode is going to open you up, mind, body, and soul, to take on the challenges and know that you are not alone, that God is with you and God loves you. Me moving to Costa Rica didn't just happen like overnight. I don't know, we're 2025. Oh, I'm going to go to Costa Rica. No, this has been something in the making since 2018, specifically April of 2018. I visited Costa Rica. My coworker when I had my 9 to 5, she lived in Costa Rica. Well, she's from Costa Rica, and her mom had a home there, and they invited me to come and visit Costa Rica with them. So I went on a trip, right? I didn't really know what to expect. All I knew that there was going to be water, mountains, nature. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to maybe see a volcano, things like that, right? And when I got there, we landed in San Jose, which is the main city, the capital of Costa Rica. And my friend's mom lives in like the city life, right? So there is no beach nearby. There's, no mountains. All you see is little houses and buildings, and that's it, and I was like, this is not what I expected, y'all. Like, I did not expect to be here, like in the city. I wanted to be on the beach. So this is not going to work for me. Yeah. And they had obligations to take care of in Costa Rica, so they couldn't leave with me. But I said, I need to figure out where's the beach. Point me to the beach, because I'm leaving if it's by myself, love yada dev. And they told me, oh, there's 2 beaches nearby. The closest one is going to be Jaco Beach. You can take the bus. We can drop you off to the bus, and it's like a 2-hour bus ride, and you'll be at the beach, whatever. So I ended up Googling that same night a Airbnb that was in Jaco. And I came across the hotel called the Amante de Sol, and it was a beautiful high rise on the beach. And I was like, great. I booked it the next morning at 6 a.m. My friend, drove me to the bus stop, and I took my bus by myself for 4 nights in the Amante de Sol hotel. Right. So when I got there, I was like, wow, this is what I pictured Costa Rica to be. The beach, the mountains, the views were beautiful, like nature, the animals. Like, I was just like, yes, this I could do for a couple of days. And I felt, as soon as I even landed actually in Costa Rica, as soon as I got off the plane and a whiff of the Costa Rican air hit me, I felt that Costa Rica was like my home. I got goosebumps all over my body. I felt like I was meant to be there, and I didn't understand why. It wasn't until I got to Jaco Beach and I got into that hotel and I saw my view and just the beauty of it all was when it hit me, like, this is why I felt like this was for me. And I felt God telling me, one day you're going to live here. One day you're going to own a home here. I've had dreams of living on a hilltop in Costa Rica around that time. And I was like, wow, this is so beautiful. Like, of course, doubting like this probably would never happen. But, here we are a couple years later, and I had the opportunity to go as a business owner. I don't really have obligations as far as like, a significant other, kids. There's really nothing stopping me, and I can take my job anywhere I go because everything I do is remote, right? Everything I do is online. So I was like, why not? And why not Costa Rica? And that's when it started, this journey of me looking for everything. But I've always known that Costa Rica would be a place I call home since 2018 when I landed in Costa Rica. And now that like things are in motion, right? And I'm selling everything in my apartment, I'm selling my car, I'm selling my belongings, I'm getting my flight in order, signing a lease in Costa Rica, everything that I'm doing. Yes, there's moments where I'm freaking out, where I'm panicking, anxiety, losing sleep, questioning, God, you sure that this is you telling me and it's not me? Like, there was a lot of moments of that in the last couple of weeks, because I'm like, is this real? Is this happening? And it's scary to be in a whole different country, right? Super away from everyone. And one thing that brought me back to sanity was remembering those feelings that I had when I first landed in Costa Rica, and how safe I felt, how amazing my spirit felt, how my being just came to life in a beautiful way. Like if I've been there before. It was like an inner feeling like I've been here, like I recognize this place. And it was beautiful. And and now I'm just looking forward to feeling that again. I'm looking forward to landing in Costa Rica and feeling that feeling of home. And I know that I'm going to experience that because I've seen God's hand in this move so much, right? So much so that when I signed my contract to the place I'm going to live in Costa Rica, I know God is in it so much that the owner lives in Florida.
Wow.
She lives in Delray Beach, Florida. I'm in West Palm Beach, Florida. That's like 25 minutes away from me.
Right.
And not only that, Delray Beach was the first place I moved to when I left my mom's house in New York. When I first left New York, the first place in Florida that I lived in was Delray Beach. When I signed that contract, when I seen the contract and it said the owner's name and where she lived, I started bawling out of control. Like I started crying because I'm like, there's no way. God is giving me all the signs in the world. Like, I am in this. My hand is in this. You're not in this alone. And you can trust that this is going to work out in your highest favor because you have just been obedient. You have just been following me blindly. You have been following me with, all the doubts humanly possible, but you're still doing. You haven't allowed your doubts and your fears to completely stop you in your tracks, right? So it's so much things that has happened that has allowed me to feel confident in the uncertainty, because it's like, I see God's hand. I see him moving. I know that he's calling every step that I've been taking, but it's ultimately me remembering the reason that I started all of this in the first place. Is, like, like remembering why I made this decision and understanding as well that things are going to unfold in its divine time. Right. So there was moments where I was like, am I going to get rid of everything in my apartment on time? Am I going to find somebody to, buy my car at a price that I'm okay with? And even down to me selling my car, like I already got a buyer and that fell on my lap too, So those things is what keeps me motivated. That's what keeps me encouraged. That's what keeps me from not falling so much into the fear and staying in the hope and staying in the excitement and staying in the amazingness that is going to happen for me when I get there because of everything, the way it's happening. I'm very mindful of the movements, the moves, the way everything has been flowing thus far, So I know that there's people watching that may not have those exact experience where things are just happening in 100% flow, where you don't really see God's hands, where you're not 100%, feeling like this is in alignment, but there's a reason why whatever decision you've made or anything that any decision you're thinking of making, there's a reason why that's there. There's a reason why it was put there. There's a reason why you started. There's a reason why you're thinking of starting. There's a reason why that dream is in there, right? So in those situations, you have to think to yourself, why do I even have this thought, this dream, this passion, this desire? Why is it even there to begin with? It came from something, and we got to lean into that something. Maybe it's something in the future. Maybe it's something that you see yourself doing and being and becoming, right? Something that you desire to have, but you got to work on X, Y, and Z from now, right? So just remembering those little nuggets of thoughts, of memories, of feelings is going to help you stay on track, even if there is fears, even if there is doubts, even if it feels very uncomfortable, even if it feels like you're never going to make it, right? Those good feelings of the vision that you have of the future, of whatever it is that you want to see happen or what you want to see yourself doing, that's what's going to keep you in tune with it, and it's going to keep you moving towards it. But I'm not saying at all that this is going to be a walk in the park for you, because shit is real. Fear is real. It just is. It's just fact, Facts. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a walk in the park. But if you give it to God, if you trust in him, if you lean in him, if you choose to find the ways God is helping maneuver things, even with ideas, is maybe somebody tells you something and you're like, I know they told me that for a reason, because they sparked something inside of me that I thought was kind of fading out, that reignited something again. You think that was by coincidence, that someone says something to help it reignite something that you were thinking of doing, but maybe you were going astray? No, that's God, because he wants you to stay in it. And As long as you stay in it and you don't decide to just bow out at the first sign of this is scary, it's going to work out over time. It's going to manifest. Things are going to get better. You will perfect the thing that you need to perfect, you know? You will see things working in your favor, going in the right direction. Things will get better, right? If it's a skill, your skill set will get better in time. You just have to stay in it long enough to see the fruits of that labor. And a lot of the times we do not stick with things long enough to see the results. We don't stick to things long enough to see the fruits of our labor. We just start working. This is hard. This isn't working. I'ma just quit. Or I lost my motivation. Or the future is too uncertain for me. I don't want to continue. I want to go back to the easy route. I want to go back to comfort. I want to go back to what I know. And all that's going to happen is going to keep you where you've been. And you're never going to know where you could have gone, where you could go. You're never going to know that, you know? So what I, suggest that you guys do is start telling yourself that you can and you will. That it's not going to happen today and it's not going to happen overnight, but that it will happen. And to stay the course long enough to see something start manifesting for you, right? Because quitting, you already know the result of quitting. But if you keep going and you continue to try, the future is still growing and developing in your favor. On today's episode, I have the absolute honor of shining the light on someone who has been a true blessing in my life. She is my sister in Christ, my best friend, a devoted wife, and loving mother of two. Lovell Mendez is a woman of deep, unshakable faith. She is someone who is following God's calling in her life with a full heart and full obedience. Her strength and kindness, her unwavering trust in God has not only shaped her journey, but has also deeply impacted mine. Lovell has been a constant source of encouragement, lifting me up in prayer, reminding me of God's promises, and standing by me through every season. So today, I want to highlight the power of walking boldly with God. Get ready for a conversation that is filled with love, with testimony, and the undeniable proof that when we trust in Him, He can lead us to exactly where we need to be. Lovell, how are you doing? So glad to have you here today.
I'm doing so good. Oh man, today I woke up with being so grateful. Just grateful that I just felt the Holy Spirit with me as soon as I woke up, and I was like, wow. I haven't felt that for a while, and just feeling that just gave me life, to get up, and get my kids ready for school and everything and go to the gym. And it just, really lifted me up today, because it's an honor to be on the other side of the podcast.
Is there a pivotal moment that you've had in your life where your faith in God was tested? And how did you overcome that challenge?
I mean, I've been through a lot. It's hard to pick one, but I think one that is just really pressing on my heart to speak about is my marriage, because that was a long journey. That was years. We have an 8-year-old and we have a 13-year-old, both daughters, so this has been an up and down. And let me tell you, I just been through the ringer with, that situation. When I was growing up, I didn't really have anybody really in my circle to understand me. This is before the Ariana days, um, I just felt alone, and God had blessed me, with my husband, Carlos, but I didn't really see the blessing at that moment. I took a lot of things for granted, you know, um, I was wanting to open up and be vulnerable and, move forward with him, but it took me a little while, and I wasn't really showing what I needed to show as a woman to him, and, the journey has been long for us. And God was telling me, to marry him, and it was a struggle for me because, I could be a stubborn person, and I'm not gonna declare that over myself right now because I was a stubborn person. I'm no longer a stubborn person. But back then, God would speak to me and I would hear him, because me being so broken and alone before Carlos, um, there was nobody else to really turn to but God. But I'm thankful for that because it's deep in my relationship with him over the years. But he's always told me, oh, to marry him. And I would just like still question, is that you? Is that me? Is that him? Like, what is it? What is it? Is this really real? And I was scared and I was scared and I was scared until a point where, I was just like, all right, I'm going to do it, and it just felt right. It felt good and stuff like that. And I just like, I went through with it. And, it was amazing, it was beautiful, and there was a lot of up and downs. And, you know, um, he wasn't doing, things that I feel like I wanted to be with. You know what I mean? And then I started to question. I'm like, God, did I make a mistake? Was that on me? You know what I mean? Like, I pictured this person for me, and that's not what I'm getting. Like, did I make a mistake? And I started to go question myself, and my decision was that from you. I even started to just, question my, the Holy Spirit speaking to me, and I started to do things, just wrong, throughout my journey with Carlos, like, just committing adultery and just getting into drugs and just, just in the wind, like really in the wind. And, I, you know, came to a place where it came really, really bad. And God came to me in a dream. And it's gonna sound crazy, y'all. God came to me in a dream with a trumpet. All right. There was no words, there was a trumpet. And let me tell you something, not a lot of people know this story because I feel a little crazy speaking about it. But this is real, man. This is real that, and I'm gonna say it because God came to me in a dream and it shook me. I know I was walking down the block that I used to live in with him, and I was walking and I heard the trumpet, and he told me for me to stop before I lose him. And let me tell you, when I woke up from that dream, I was shaking. I was shaking. I was like, no, I gotta stop. I gotta do this. And I was just like, wow, like let me change, but that only lasted for some time. You know what I mean? That fear from God, because I wasn't there yet. I wasn't matured yet, with my walk with God. Um, so I ended up slipping back, just doing things that I was just not supposed to do. And fast forward, it ended up, me and him getting separated in New York. You know, I went my way, he went his. We tried to get back together in New York, and we moved down here to Florida, and Ariana helped us with that move, and I thank God that she did that move, even though when I first came here, to Florida, it didn't go as planned, but that was because I got in it. I took control. I said, well, we're working things out. And again, I left God out of the equation and try to take things control and, in my hands. And I started, trying, but then not trying. I was back and forth with that situation. And, it was a long roller coaster. We came here, we tried, it did not work. We got separated again. And it just left me like, God, man, you told me that, I was meant to be with this man. I was supposed to get married. Like what is going on? Like, I know that you don't lie. I'm not understanding, and especially everything that I have done and put him through. And, I was just like, wow, like, we're separated again and just there's just no hope. We already tried. It's not working. I must have heard you wrong, and I started to get in my feelings because I'm like, wow, am I really hearing God when he speaks? Just questioning everything, and I was just still like so hurt that I started just continuing in a wrong path. And I was just rolling in that ball until I came to the end of myself and I said, God, you know what? I'm going to surrender to you because I don't know what I'm doing. I just feel like I'm making things worse. I know I've been, doing things that is causing disobedience, and I don't even know where to go from here. All I know is that I'm going to surrender my life to you. I'm going to surrender everything to you. And I took off social media. I mean, I went in my bubble. And I had no expectations of what I wanted, because at that point I said what I wanted ain't working. So God, like, you need to transform me and do something within me, because I thought I know what I wanted and what I needed, but obviously I didn't. And let me tell you something, not so long after that, I didn't even know, because it was so unexpected. He just made things happen for me to get back with my husband. We've been together since. I was going to church, and then ended up going to church, and we were going to church together. My daughter, my 13-year-old, she started serving with the tots in church. And then I ended up started serving. Then my husband started serving. And then it's like I'm one of the leaders in the group that I was in, the Women's Freedom Group. And then my husband is like serving and in a Connect group too through Zoom, and it's just been so beautiful. And I'm just looking at my life and going back, and I'm like, wow, like if I would have just listened to God from the beginning, because he told me plenty of times, if I would have just stood in that, you know what I mean, things would have went differently. But you know what? I think he needed to separate us, because we were both playing games. We were both not leaning into him. And he needed to do that to shape us to the people we are now. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful, even though it was so painful, guys. It was so painful. I was just like, wow, what a journey. And to this day, let me tell you something. When I start feeling those feelings, like, is that really God? Is it me? I start getting into that like remembrance. You doubt it. You doubt it. Things started looking different, and you doubt it. But it's God. It's God telling you that. And I'm just like blown away from everything he's been doing and just staying in him. Man, it's been a journey. It's been a journey, y'all.
Wow. I mean, thank you, Lovell, for being vulnerable and sharing that. It just goes to show, like how when God tells you something, right? He doesn't lie. He's going to tell you something, but it doesn't mean that everything's going to work out perfectly. All he's asking of us, right, like you did, was, I told you this was your person. I told you to marry this person, but then you took it in your own hands and started messing it up, right? You started taking control and like doubting, well, he's not acting like the perfect person, but you weren't perfect either. Like God was just asking for you guys to lean into him, right? Because before Carlos came into your life, and you were feeling lonely, you were feeling alone, you were feeling like, like wanting that fulfillment, that love, like, from someone, and he gave you that. And you know what I mean? You couldn't see it, even though you knew God told you. And that happens to a lot of us. You know what I mean? We go off the path from what God has told us, and we know that was him, but then we start questioning because things are not perfect. They're not all working out in the same way that we would think that we want. But our relationship with God and our path with God is a journey. And I won't, you can speak for yourself, but I don't think that anything that happened, like if you could take it back, would you take it back? Like if you could do it all over again, or do you think that the way that everything happened was divine, like divine timing, divine occurrences, experiences?
Listen, y'all, I know that I was stubborn before, and I will be stubborn again. So I would not change anything, because let me tell you something, because it shifted me. All that pain, that journey has shifted me and made me stronger and looking towards God. So I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say, but I wanted the audience to hear it from you, because some people go through things and they like, oh God, like, they just want it to stop. They don't want to go through it, right? They don't want to get to the other side because it's so painful. But who we become while getting to the other side, that is what matters. That is what God wants from us. He wants us to change. He wants us to become better. He wants us to see ourselves. And the only way that we can see ourselves, the good, bad, and the ugly, is by going through something, is by getting a challenge. And I want, for anybody that's watching to that's maybe in a similar situation in their lives where they know God told them something, but things are not working out the perfect way. Maybe you're going through a divorce, maybe you are separated, maybe there are things like that going on. Know that God has a plan, even in that broken journey. Like God can fix anything. You know, God can fix anything, amend anything, bring things together for the greater good of God's plan in the lives of those that he placed together, right? Because it's for a reason. Now you guys are in church. Now you guys are serving. Now, you know, you're connecting with other like-minded individuals that you guys didn't have once upon a time. And because you guys have that, you guys are a stronger, better unit as a family as a whole, right? Not only you and Carlos, but also, you know, your kids. On today's episode, though, we will be discussing whether doubt and faith can coexist, right? Some of the most faithful figures in the Bible wrestled with doubt at different points in their journeys. This episode will explore whether doubt is a sign of weak faith, or can it be used as a tool for deeper spiritual growth. If today I had nothing, right? I had no, you know, like I didn't have no money. I didn't have, you know, this beautiful place that I live in. And I had to go back to live with my mom. How would I feel about myself as a person? And that image, that thought was not, it was horrific. I didn't see myself as someone that if you take away all my accolades and what I've been able to accomplish, me as a person, I wasn't feeling too good about her. You know, the human me, like the me in this carnal state. And I was like, well, we need to start working on that, you know, because you cannot allow other people to fill your cup. You cannot allow accolades and money to fill your cup, you know, because then you're burdening the people that love you just as you are, because now they have extra work to do to make you feel good every day. It's too much, right? You need to be able to do that for yourself, no matter what you have. It's about being a good person. It's about what can you offer as a human to another human, and filling that bucket up with amazing things that just I'm contributing, that I'm doing, that I'm giving, that I'm doing it genuinely, that I'm thinking of others, you know, and kind of taking, you know, the accolades out of it. And now I feel like I'm completely surrendered to, you know, whatever people might think of me. If they are like talking bad about me or good about me, like none of that I want it to affect me. Because if they are and things are going sour in my mind, I want it to be, well, you know what? I did my best. You know, I am doing my best. I am good. Everything, you know, I am a good person, and I can actually tell myself because of this, and this, because of actions that I took, right? And it's like, that's how I want to live my life now. So I think a big burden has been shaken off of me. And I think that's what you feel when you say, I think you give me Costa Rica vibes, because I feel like God knew I couldn't enter Costa Rica territory with the mindset that I had, you know, because Costa Ricans don't live like that, right?
Right.
They live like pura vida, like pure life, you know, and like chill. They don't stress. They're not about having the fancy things and the glamour, the glitz and glamour. Like they're just pure living their life without stress, doing the most. It's like, I'm gonna take my time, the slow pace life. And it's like God was like, you need to calm down and you need to live a pura vida, chill, relax, calm down, like stop running, and be more community based. So I think that, I think he's just preparing me because of what I'm gonna step into. And the person that I've been is, not in alignment with the Costa Rican vibes. So I need to get there. And I feel a burden lifted off of me completely. Like I feel like kind of a different person on who I want to be and how I want people to, the things I want people to say about me. I want the story to shift. And I don't want it to be just about my accomplishments and, the money that I have or how I live and the exterior. I want the conversation to be, damn, Ariana really, took time and helped me out with this. She gave me some great advice. Ariana, was selfish in this, and this. She thought about me and it wasn't about her. And I want that to be the conversation more than anything else. I want it to be more about my generosity, my ability to be genuine and mindful of others and thoughtful of others and sacrificial for others, even if there's nothing in it for me, right? I want to be able to sometimes take the short end of the stick and be okay with it. Like, you know what? You know, maybe they did use me. Maybe I did get the short end of that stick, but I know God got me. Like, I'm not going to stress. I'm not going to hate you. I'm not going to hold on to a grudge. It's okay. God got me, and live that life. And I don't think that I was there. You know, I think I had moments of being like that, but I don't think that's who I consciously wanted to be or thought that it was important. So, long-winded explanation.
Oh, that's powerful.
But
that's powerful. So many good things said in that. So powerful.
You know, for me to get to this place, you know, where I'm at now through I'm at the breakthrough. It took a lot of doubt. Am I capable of really, you know, being more selfless and things like that? Like, that was taking time for me to get there. So, you know, I know that sometimes people have doubt in many areas of their life, right? This is just one area where I've doubted myself and my abilities and who I can be. But I know that we all have doubt, and we maybe question ourselves, is doubt a sign of weak faith? You know? And I'm going to choose to believe that no, doubt is a tool. I believe that God puts there in all of us, right? Because we're all imperfect. We all have things that we need to learn. There's things that we need to grow from. And the only way to learn and grow from it is to go through it, right? So doubt is going to be there. But I think that God uses that as a tool for us to grow stronger in our trust in him, to grow stronger in our spiritual walk, right? And anybody that's watching that's like, you know, Ari, you're not alone. I've doubted myself, my abilities, the things that I'm doing. I'm doubting life right now as I'm watching this. You know, lean into that doubt and understand that that doubt can be used as a tool to strengthen your relationship, to create you to be a better person, to develop your spirituality, you know?
Right. Yep.
So those are the things that kind of, you know, kind of, I feel like intertwine and hit me when I'm going through my processes of my doubt, of, you know, how can I convert this doubt into something meaningful with God? Everything surrounding history, right, was filled with doubt at first. People had to see it to believe it, you know? And I think that's, you know, a life short-lived when you have to see it to believe it. It's more fulfilling, right? When you are living your life and where with this inner vibration of, I don't see it, like see it for myself, but I know that God is going to come through, right? But there's steps to get there, right? Because I think in every venture, in anything that we're doing that's new, there's doubt is going to be the first thing. I don't think there's anyone on the planet that's just like starting something new, you know, getting married for the first time, having their first child, starting a new career, going back to school, you know, buying a home, first time home buyers, like, situation. There's going to be doubt first. But that doubt is going to lead us to being inquisitive, right? Like, why am I doubting? What's causing the doubt? Maybe the thing that comes to mind first is I'm fearful, right? Am I going to do a good job? Is this going to work out? Is this worth it? Should I be doing this? Is this the time? You know, like, is something bad going to come out of this? So you know what I mean? That doubt is usually because of fear. And then we got to lean into that. And it's like, okay, I know what I'm being fearful of. Then the next thing is, do I have control over this? As this human in this life, do I have control over all these fears and all these doubts and all this uncertainty? The answer is 100% of the time going to be no. Right? You don't have the control. And we all get to a point where we're just like, I'm done. I can't sleep. I have anxiety. I feel, I'm moody. Maybe, you've been in a bad mood with the people around you because you're just so angst and you're so fearful and you're not moving forward and you feel stuck and you're doubting. And it gets to a point where you start like, I don't know I don't have the answers. I don't know how it's going to happen. And that causes you to look to God. I don't want to feel this way no more. I don't know what I'm doing. And I am going to put this in your hands and I just want reprieve from this. I just want to have a clear mind. I don't want to feel anxious anymore because I don't have control. I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm going to put it in your hands and surrender to you. That decision is what strengthens your trust in God.